working in the spirit of the Golden Empire. This is 17 News at noon.
Good morning from the 17 Newsroom. I'm Maddie Jansen. Thanks for joining us for 17 News at noon. We begin with a massive bust of suspected drug traffickers, including several Kern County residents. More than 50 people were arrested across the state in a multi-agency investigation into the Nuestra Familia prison gang and Norteño street gang. Charges were announced this morning by state and law enforcement officials. Jesus Nunez, 19 of McFarland, Maria Nunez, 22 of McFarland, and Ernesto Zibre, 30 of Delano, were among those facing federal charges. Law enforcement officials out of Kings and Tulare counties say they discovered Nuestra Familia was responsible for large-scale trafficking of meth and other controlled substances. They're also accused of gun offenses and violent crimes.
We have dismantled, to the best of our abilities, the upper rankings of this structure, and we hope and pray now for a peaceful summer and months to come.
All 21 defendants announced today face a range of maximum sentences, including up to life in prison if convicted. The Shafter City Council is the latest to join several other cities in approving the addition of decals with the phrase, "In God We Trust," for police cars. Council members voted unanimously in favor of the decals. A local business owner even offered to make them for free. The majority of attendees celebrated the move, but opponents say it could be a divisive decision and that governments should not promote religion. Tonight, Ridgecrest City Council will also be discussing the issue. Bakersfield and Delano already approved adding the motto to its police cars. Meantime, Arvin Police Chief Scott Kimball told 17 News he heard that their city will also soon discuss the issue of adding "In God We Trust" decals to its cars. We'll be keeping a close eye on that City Council agenda and let you know if and when the council does take up the issue. It's a day of sunshine, water fights, soggy sneakers, and action-packed rapids. Today is Whitewater Wednesday, a chance for you to safely enjoy the Kern River. The Kernville Chamber of Commerce has teamed up with 4 rafting companies to sponsor a ride of your choice. You can try the Lickety Split or the Sequoia Splash. It's $55 a person, and there are runs through 2 o'clock, so still a little bit of time to get up there. If there was ever a time to enjoy the river, this is the way to do it with an experienced guide. We've posted more information on our website, KGET.com, and 17's Kara Waugh is up there this afternoon. She's going to check out the rapids. I think the first time she's ever gone, probably, so pretty exciting for her. What a year to do it, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride for her, I'll guarantee that.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. We now know the name of the man killed in a shooting in South Bakersfield earlier this week. The coroner's office says 25-year-old William James Robinson of Bakersfield died in the shooting. It happened just after 11 o'clock Monday night on Wilson Road near the intersection with South 8th Street. Officers found Robinson lying in the road and say he had been shot several times. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where he died. Meanwhile, Bakersfield police are also trying to track down the driver involved in an early morning hit-and-run crash. It happened just before 1 on South Chester Avenue near LaFrance Drive. One man was badly hurt. BPD says he's in the hospital in critical condition. Officers are searching for the car and driver involved in the crash. They believe it's a 2016-2017 Honda Civic, but they don't know what color. Anyone with information is urged to call BPD 327-7111. World news now. The U.S. has revealed new evidence of Iran's alleged involvement in those attacks on oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, Iraqi officials say a rocket hit an oil drilling site in southern Barsa province, striking a camp housing energy giant ExxonMobil and injuring 3 local workers. NBC's Bill Neely reports from Doha in the Persian Gulf.
At a U.S. base on the Persian Gulf, fragments of mines and the magnets used to attach them, made by Iran, says the U.S., to attack oil tankers last week.
The limpet mine that was used does bear a striking resemblance to that which has been publicly displayed in the Iranian military parades.
More proof, say U.S. officials, of Iranian guilt, to add to the photographs and the video that show Iranian Revolutionary Guards next to the damaged ship. President Trump is now playing down the attacks. He said it was questionable whether he'd take military action to keep the Gulf shipping lanes open. But going to war to prevent Iran getting nuclear weapons? Certainly, he said. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met U.S. military commanders and says America's aim is to defend and deter.
President Trump does not want war, and we will continue to communicate that message while doing the things that are necessary to protect American interests in the region.
But this morning, American oil company ExxonMobil says it's evacuating 20 workers from Iraq after a rocket landed at its headquarters there. Iranian-backed militias being blamed by some Iraqi security officials. All this as another 1,000 American troops are being sent to the Middle East to convince Iran the U.S. is serious. Iran's president says it too doesn't want war, but he doesn't control the country or Iran's militias in the region. And just this morning, Iran's president has said Tehran will not negotiate with Washington under pressure, so not ruling out talks altogether. Meanwhile, those American oil workers evacuated from their headquarters at Basra this morning, many of them had just returned to that facility after being evacuated last month. So tense times there. Bill Neely, NBC News, Doha, Qatar.
Several people are charged with murder in the downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine 5 years ago. You may remember the 2014 crash killed all 298 people on board. MH17 was shot out of the sky over territory held by pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. It was flying from Amsterdam to the Malaysian capital, Kuala Lumpur. Dutch investigators said today the trial of the 4 people being charged, 3 Russians and 1 Ukrainian, will start in the Netherlands next March. A video investigators showed during the news conference said the men formed a line of military command in eastern Ukraine. They'd previously said a Russian missile brought down the plane. Moscow denies involvement and says it doesn't trust the investigation. The Netherlands say Russia has not cooperated with the investigation, and Moscow is not expected to surrender suspects. He says he made America great again, and now he wants to keep America great.
And that is why tonight I stand before you to officially launch my campaign for a second term as President of the United States. Thank you.
President Trump kicked off his re-election bid last night in the critical battleground state of Florida, and he debuted a new campaign slogan, Keep America Great. The president claimed to supporters that he's been, in his words, under siege by investigations since day one of his administration. But he also claimed a series of policy achievements, including on military strength, job creation, and putting America first on issues like trade.
We're going to keep on fighting for every man and woman and child all across this land. With every ounce of heart and might and sweat and soul, we're going to keep making America great again. And then we will indeed keep America great. We will keep it so great. Better than ever before. We're going to keep it better than ever before.
His announcement comes a week before 20 Democratic presidential hopefuls take the stage for their first debate. New at noon, the Environmental Protection Agency is rolling out a coal-friendly rule, and critics say it's going to hurt the fight against climate change. EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler made the announcement this morning. The proposal would get rid of Obama-era regulations that focused on reducing coal dependence in favor of natural gas. Instead, it will put the power in the hands of individual states regarding the emissions rates of coal plants. Environmental groups are expected to challenge the new rule in court. A warning for beachgoers headed to Pismo this weekend, perhaps to beat the heat. A 13-year-old girl's recovering after being bitten by a sea lion at Pismo Beach. Megan Pajny said she was playing in the sand when a sea lion came out of the water, charged her, and then bit her in the leg. Other beachgoers rushed in to help the teen.
I felt it on my leg and I looked down and freaked out. I didn't even know what it was. All I knew was that something was attacking me.
Wildlife officials caught the sea lion and are treating it for a possible brain infection. They say such an attack is extremely rare. Welcome back in your 17 Health Watch this afternoon. A new survey from AAA shows driving high is seen as somewhat safe. A survey by the AAA Foundation for Traffic found that more than 13% of Americans view driving within an hour after using marijuana as only slightly dangerous or not dangerous at all. Nearly 70% of people also think a driver is unlikely to be caught by police when driving within an hour after using marijuana. An estimated 14.8 million drivers nationwide report they've gotten behind the wheel within 1 hour after using pot. But AAA recommends all motorists avoid driving while impaired by marijuana or any other drug, including alcohol, to avoid arrest and keep our roads safe. And more women are smoking marijuana while pregnant. Government researchers looked at data from more than 467,000 women who were between the ages of 12 and 44. They found 7% of the women said they smoked marijuana while pregnant in 2017. That is an increase of just over 3% in 2002. And the women who smoked while in the first trimester increased from nearly 6% to 12%. Pot use during pregnancy has been associated with effects on fetal growth, including low birth weight. San Francisco is a step closer to becoming the first city in the country to ban all sales of electronic cigarettes. City leaders are making the move in an attempt to crack down on youth vaping. In a unanimous vote yesterday, they approved a ban on the sale and distribution of e-cigarettes. They also endorsed a ban on manufacturing e-cigarettes on city property. The measures will require another vote before becoming law. Supervisors say they know the legislation won't entirely prevent teens from vaping, but they hope it's a start. Millions of Americans, mostly women, are suffering from fibromyalgia. Patients often endure years of surgery and medications like opioids without much relief to their full-body pain symptoms. Now a doctor from the University of Texas Medical Branch thinks he's made a discovery that could treat it.
Mom Maria Pena says she can't pinpoint where pain is coming from because it radiates all over her body.
It hurts to even talk or swallow. It can be neck bone pain or rib cage pain. It hurts to breathe. Elbow pain, joint pain, muscle pain, nerve pain.
She says she's had 8 surgeries, taken many muscle relaxers, medications, injections, and many days are spent in bed.
Some days are worse than others.
Right now, there's no cure for fibromyalgia, but UTMB Dr. Miguel Propola, professor of neurology, hopes to change that. He says fibromyalgia pain is often associated with neuropathy pain, similarly found in patients with high hemoglobin A1C. A1C is how prediabetes is determined and treated with insulin-resistant drugs like metformin. Dr. Popola noticed his patients with fibromyalgia had improvements with pain when taking that same drug.
People with insulin resistance can develop a form of neuropathy called small fiber neuropathy. And some research teams think that this form of neuropathy may contribute to the pain that patients with fibromyalgia have.
He says this doesn't mean people with fibromyalgia also have insulin resistance, but there are some correlations that need more investigation. Pena was not part of the study, but says she's hopeful something this simple could one day be the cure she desperately wants.
To alleviate some of the pain that I go through on a daily basis would really help. Because at this point, it's just, I take it a day at a time.
Dr. Popola's research looked so promising in the initial phase that it's now being evaluated by other agencies. We're back in your 17 Business Watch. The Fed did not lower rates today, but signaled that it is willing to do so, and Wall Street's reacting positively. The Dow up 64 points so far in trading. The Nasdaq up 24, the S&P 500 up 10. Meantime, checking oil prices for you at West Texas Intermediate, selling for $54.07 a barrel this afternoon. Midway Sunset started the day at $59.65 a barrel. Bad news for Boeing. The man behind the miracle on the Hudson says even he had trouble with a MAX 737 simulator. You may remember Captain Sully Sullenberger was the U.S. Airways pilot in 2009 when he safely landed an Airbus jet on the Hudson River in New York after bird strikes knocked out the engines during takeoff from nearby LaGuardia Airport. He spoke this morning before the House Aviation Subcommittee and told congressional leaders he experienced issues when doing a simulation on the 737 MAX jet.
I can tell you firsthand that the startle factor is real, and it's huge. It absolutely interferes with one's ability to quickly analyze the crisis and take effective action. Within seconds, these crews would have been fighting for their lives in the fight of their lives.
The MAX 737 jet's at the center of 2 deadly crashes. The aircraft still faces scrutiny as Boeing works to fix problems with its anti-stall system. In other business news this afternoon, charitable donations are taking a hit thanks to the new tax law. Giving USA says Americans gave less to charity in 2018 compared to the previous year. Charitable giving by individuals dropped 3.4%, but giving by foundations and corporations increased. Economic experts say the new tax law reduced incentives to donate for many households. Among the top charitable causes Americans supported, religion and education, though both were down in contributions. The only categories that saw an increase in giving were international affairs and environmental and animal organizations. Welcome back. This young girl's proving anything's possible. At just 10 years old, Selah Schneider has become the youngest person on record to reach the summit of El Capitan at Yosemite National Park. To give you a sense of how big that feat actually is, the route she climbed, El Capitan's nose, is higher than the world's tallest building in Dubai, and it can fit 9 statues of Liberty. NBC's Savannah Guthrie now with a look at Selah's journey.
At Yosemite National Park, this is how most will take in El Capitan's awesome beauty. But this was 10-year-old Selah Schneider's breathtaking view.
Yeah, super steep.
Last week, this little powerhouse became the youngest person on record to reach the summit. Towering 3,000 feet high, conquering El Cap is no easy feat, even for climbers twice Selah's age.
Just being there was incredible, and just thinking about that whole experience was really moving.
For decades, many thought the peak was unclimbable. El Capitan's complexity has even proven deadly. But pitch by pitch, Selah was all smiles on her 5-day ascent into the record books.
How's the home?
Good.
Her dad, Mike, by her side, recording every step.
I'm super proud of her, just to see how big her heart was and how strong she was.
You could say Selah was born to reach these heights. With parents devoted to the sport, Selah was climbing before she could even walk.
Our motto was, how do you eat an elephant? Small bites. So we were just trying to do, one day at a time, one move at a time, one pitch at a time.
And she's been moving up ever since.
All right, last bolted anchor.
Her path to the top, a year in the making, all for this moment.
That's your first happy cry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't believe I just did that.
Proving for this young girl, the sky is the limit.